Welcome to the Dazn Boxing Show U.S. Award Special. I go by the name of Ak.
And I'm Barack the Boxing Bully.
Shout out to Addy and Tony for handing out their awards yesterday. It's our turn to do the same here stateside. Barack, hell of a year in 2021, bro.
Absolutely, we got to wrap everything up. They call this the year of the upsets.
But wait, you called it the year before that the year of the upset, and the year before that. I mean, is it safe to say that they're just upsets in boxing?
Absolutely, especially on Dazn, I've noticed. There's a lot of upsets.
All right, speaking of upsets, let's kick it off with the first category, which is 2021's Upset of the Year.
The nominees for the biggest upset are Mauricio Lava defeats Josh Warrington, Sandor Martin defeats Mikey Garcia, Kiko Martinez defeats Kid Galahad, George Kambosos Jr. defeats Teofimo Lopez. And the winner is George Kambosos Jr. defeats Teofimo Lopez.
Look, Barack, I know this category was hard to choose, but I think everybody would have chosen the one that we chose, and that's Kambosos beating Teofimo Lopez. Look, Mauricio Lara versus Josh Warrington, hell of an upset. But, you know, Lara is just a tough type of competitor where, you know, he can pull off that upset. And Sandor Martin, it's safe to say that Mikey Garcia hasn't shown the same hunger that he did once before. So I would say that this is a perfect pick.
Right. The difference between the one that we picked, the winner, and all the other ones is that Teofimo Lopez was looking unbeatable. He beat Loma. You know, he beat Comey in a spectacular fashion. Mikey Garcia, his drive was in question. Josh Warrington had split decisions, you know, with Kid Galahad, Lee Selby, majority decision with Kiko Martinez. So it's not like he was looking unbeatable, you know, and neither did Kid Galahad. Teofimo Lopez looked unbeatable. That's why, no matter what, this is the upset of the year.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. The Galahad knockout, Kiko Martinez knocking out Galahad, that was vicious in the way he did it. But I think the fight that meant the most was the Kambosos because he shifted the whole lightweight division. So that's our choice.
Absolutely. Okay, second category, Rising Star of the Year.
The Rising Star nominees are Jared Anderson, Connor Ben, Montana Love, Frank Sanchez. And the winner is Connor Ben.
Another tough category to pick a winner. I think it was between Montana Love and Connor Ben, but when you look at it, Montana Love's first 10-rounder was Baranchek. Beautiful job he did, but Connor Ben has already been fighting 12-rounders. Matter of fact, this year he fought 3 times, 2 of them were 12-rounders, and he only needed 5 rounds for both, you know, because they were both stoppages. One with a former champion, Algieri. He proved this year that, yes, his name gave him the notoriety, but he's proven in 2021 to be worthy of that name. Rising Star of the Year.
He's definitely the winner, but I mean, this category we deliberated more than any other one, in my opinion, because of Montana Love. Also, Frank Sanchez has shown signs of being the future of the heavyweight division, at least for me, as far as the eyeball test. Now, obviously, he has to do that against top opposition, but the Jogba win was really big. I love Jared Anderson. I think this dude is super excited for the heavyweight division as well. So the fact that we have 2 heavyweights in this category makes it exciting for the heavyweight division. But, you know, in Montana Love, he's looking spectacular, but Conor definitely deserves this with no question about it. So, I mean, especially with that knockout over Chris Algieri. So he gets the win. And speaking of knockouts, let's move over to our next category, which is 2021's Knockout of the Year.
The nominees for Best Knockout are Oscar Valdez knocks out Miguel Berchelt, Jake Paul knocks out Tyron Woodley, Tyson Fury knocks out Deontay Wilder, Gabriel Rosado knocks out Bektemir Melikuziev, and the winner is Jake Paul knocks out Tyron Woodley.
All right, now we almost got into a knockout of our own arguing about this damn category because we don't all agree. But we can agree that all of the knockouts were great, you know, in this category. Now, Oscar Valdez, Barack, you know, initially, early on in the year, at least in the first 4 or 5 months, that was everybody's knockout of the year without question. And obviously, Gabe Rosado's, you know, it was an upset and a knockout at the same time. So a lot of credit to him. And Tyson Fury, though he knocked, it was a vicious knockout in that round. There was a lot that accumulated on Wilder to get him to that point. So it wasn't so much of a one-punch knockout. Nevertheless, all categories in this, all categories were great knockouts here. But in my opinion, yes, the former YouTube, I don't even know if he still YouTubes, but he's a professional fighter now with 5 wins and 4 knockouts. Jake Paul's knockout over Tyron Woodley was the most dramatic, in my opinion. Barack, feel free.
Yeah, my issue with this category was I can see that was a beautiful knockout by Jake Paul. But when I look at Gabriel Rosado, first of all, you add variables. You have 2 different knockouts. Two knockouts that were exactly the same. They both fell the same way. Woodley fell the same way Melikuziev fell. Arms dropped, face first onto the mat. Boom. So the fall was exactly the same. It was both dramatic. Now, and like you said it, and like I was saying yesterday when we was arguing, it wasn't an accumulation. It was only one shot, especially Gabriel Rosado's. Now, because it's the same, I wanted to throw in some variables. Jake Paul was not the underdog like Gabriel Rosado was. It was not expected. Jake Paul was expected to win. He already won. Gabriel Rosado was the opponent for the prospect, and it was such a surprise. Now, the only thing that I can say is that Melikuziev got up before Woodley. The ref was kind of pushing him down, but he wasn't going to get up as fast as Melikuziev anyway. And yes, it was a vicious knockout, but also these guys are boxers. Melikuziev has a great amateur career. He was 8-0, 6 knockouts. They're boxers. Now, if you step in the ring, you're a boxer. If you get a license, you're a boxer. Yes, I get it. But Woodley was not a boxer.
But the category here is knockout of the year. It's not knockout of the year if you knocked out a boxer that has experience. It's called knockout of the year in a professional prize fight. And that's all I base my decision on. It wasn't easy because the Gabriel Rosado knockout was huge. And yes, it was an upset. But we already did upset of the year. The knockout of the year was Jake Paul's over Tyron Woodley's.
And listen, when we don't agree, we go to other people in Dazn, and I got outvoted. That's it. So I'm going to go with that. That's the knockout of the year. I just think that's kind of insulting the guys that's been doing it, a little bit longer. But it is what it is. It's knockout of the year. Jake Paul, congratulations on that incredible knockout of Tyron Woodley. Now, next category is the best guest of the Dazn Boxing Show on 2021.
The nominees for Best Guest are Tyson Fury, Roy Jones Jr., Terrence Crawford, Devin Haney, and the winner is Terrence Crawford.
Now, first off, I want to say that any and everybody who comes on this show is a special guest to us. And we want to thank you for coming up and taking the time for these 2 guys from Brooklyn, from the hood, to give us your opinion, to give us your thoughts, your wisdom, whatever. And so we want to thank you all, but there can only be one winner. Now, Tyson Fury showed us a lot of energy in Vegas. That was great. Devin Haney, he's always good. He's always sharp. He gave us his picks on when we first introduced the board to everybody. And Roy Jones is the most informative guy who breaks down every single thing, and he did that in the UK with Addy. But we got to give it to Bud. We had to give it to Bud because I guess maybe because he's so close to us, we have a lot of laughs, and it was very important fights that he had to speak about. It was Spence and it was Porter, and we got the stuff that we needed from him, and that's why he was guest. He's our best guest of the year.
Yeah, look, first off, I want to echo your statement. Very appreciative to every single person, boxer, trainer, promoter, that gives us the time of the day to chop it up with us about boxing. So this is never an easy decision. I enjoyed Roy and what we did for the live shows in the UK with Ade, Tyson Fury. He had our hat. He made a reference to our hats because we've sat down with him with the fedoras before, so that was super cool. And Devin has been opening up lately to us like crazy, and his energy has been great. on our show. But yes, Bud, outside of him threatening me that he's going to put me in a chokehold or me whipping his butt on a pool table or on a basketball court, we really dig and pry into those fights. And he normally doesn't express himself with other people that way. So we have to, give it to our guy, Terrence Crawford. He's deserving of the best guest of the year. All right.
I always think it's special when it turns from an interview into a conversation.
Yeah.
And I think
that's what it does every time, man. His last fight, his opponent, Sean Porter, had a hell of a ring walk, which leads me to our next category, Best Ring Walk of 2021.
The nominees for Best Ring Walk are Tyson Fury's ring walk versus Deontay Wilder, Montana Love's ring walk against Carlos Diaz, Canelo Alvarez's ring walk against Avni Yildirim, Sean Porter's ring walk against Terrence Crawford. The winner is Canelo Alvarez ring walk against Avni Yildirim.
Barack, I love these categories because it gives some fighters an opportunity to win an award, and sometimes it's outside of the ring. No disrespect to anybody, but it's fun because the anticipation of the fight, like leading up to the fight, the ring walks, the trash talk and all of that, it builds the fight. It makes you excited about it. Now, Fury had a great ring walk the last time he fought Wilder, being carried like a king, like a pharaoh. This time, he had the Egyptian thing going on. Now, Sean Porter never had a ring walk the way he did with Big E in Rhapsody. His best ring walk to date, which is why he was nominated. And I don't think I've ever seen a fighter walk to a ring with a puppy. And a very popular dog, might I add, Montana Love, had a Frenchie. Those dogs are going for like 10 racks now. And the way he walked to the ring, I don't know, there was a certain sauce that he had. I enjoyed it, but how can you go against Canelo Alvarez having two huge ring walks in the same year? And my favorite, of course, was when we were in Miami. Now, people weren't happy about the opponent, but the man brought J Balvin out, one of the biggest stars in the world. And the song that he sang, Mi Gente, and then he switched it on to another one, My G. They were performing with bikes on the stage. After the performance, he walks with Canelo. It was a long ring walk. We were right there above it. Fire flying into the air, fireworks, Barack. I think it was a no-brainer. It was a landslide here with Canelo Alvarez having the best ring walk of 2021.
100%. We didn't have to argue about this. Big E's energy was unmatched, calling Porter Hurricane Porter. It's time, it's show time. Yes, and the French Bulldog of Montana's Love, he was dressed better than us. That was something that was never seen before, bringing a dog to the ring. That was cool. Sean Porter had gospel singers. He just had it all. And you know what's funny? Because we're not used to seeing him with a special ring walk, so we had to put him in here. But Canelo, he threw a whole concert for us.
Yes.
It was a whole J Balvin concert. J Balvin even walked him to the ring afterwards. It was incredible. They had fireworks. It reminded me of when we were in the UK and Joshua comes out, so it was the biggest.
He did it twice this year.
Yeah, stateside, I think is one of the biggest ring walks out there, so we had to give it to him. Now, what happens after the ring walk? The most important part of the night, the fight. 2021 Fight of the Year.
The nominees for Best Fights are Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3, Juan Francisco Estrada versus Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez 2, Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos Jr., Stephen Fulton versus Brandon Figueroa. And the winner is Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3.
How can this be disputed, Ak? 5 knockdowns in the heavyweight division. That hardly ever happens. It was back and forth. One of the judges had it 92-94. Shows you how competitive it was. Even in rounds where Deontay Wilder was knocked down, like in the 10th round, he rocked Fury and Fury wobbled back to the corner. Like, it was that competitive. I loved that fight. It was one of the most action-packed heavyweight fights of all time.
No question about it. Now look, the Chocolatito Estrada fight was huge too and very entertaining. It was just so long ago, we tend to forget how entertaining that fight was. And look, Brandon Figueroa, that was recent against Fulton. He earned that fight. He had to squeeze it out. And we were all more so shocked at the Camboses beating Teofimo, even dropping him in the first round. So that was very shocking and obviously was an entertaining fight. But when you talk about fight, that's the fight that people are going to talk about for a very long time. I'm talking about Wilder Fury 3. Because of how brave Wilder was in that fight, even being exhausted, even being tired, even already had been dropped, he was still dangerous in the fight and late in the fight. We all saw him put Fury down twice. Barack, we were in the building that day. I mean, the drama, you get goosebumps when you're in the building with that type of fight. We didn't know what was going to happen. It was a roller coaster of emotion. That's something that it transcends just a regular fight. It's something that brings back memories, and I'm glad that we were there to witness that fight. I think it's a landslide as well. Credit to all of the other people that are in this category, but there was no fight better than Wilder Fury 3 in 2021. And look, I was just in Tampa last week for Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley, which was a huge knockout. Right before that, Amanda Serrano put a masterful performance. So it's going to lead us to the next segment. We got to show the ladies some love. The best female fighter of the year in 2021. Up next.
The nominees for Best Female Fighter: Jessica McCaskill, Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, Sanisa Estrada. And the winner is Amanda Serrano.
All right, Barack, this is another category where we went back and forth because of Sanisa Estrada's year. She had 3 big wins. Katie Taylor also had 3 wins. McCaskill had 2 wins. Now, Estrada is a very aggressive fighter. She brings excitement to the sport. And I almost had her winning this as you did as well. Now, look, Katie's always going to give you Katie Taylor. Hell of a fighter. She's always going to find a way to win. And Jessica McCaskill beating Braukus the way she did, I think that it set her apart from a lot of other fighters on that pound for pound list. But after witnessing what I witnessed in Tampa, Florida, Amanda Serrano, she's accomplished so much in the sport. 7-division world champion. I mean, after that much success in the sport, a lot of fighters, they lose a little steam. They lose hunger for the sport. They just aren't the same because she's been in a lot of fights. She has a lot of wins, a lot of knockouts. But when you see a fight, she's fighting like it's her pro debut still to this day. She's trying to punish her opponent every single round. And her body attack is second to none in all of female boxing. No disrespect to any woman in the sport, but nobody attacks the body like Amanda Serrano. Love the way she fights, super entertaining. She teamed up with Jake Paul this year. She's getting the money she deserves. We hope to see the Katie Taylor fight in 2022. We feel like it's going to happen. It's hard not to choose Amanda Serrano for Best Female Fighter of the Year, which is why we chose her.
Yeah, she mentioned on social media the other day that she's officially a millionaire. So congratulations on that, Amanda. This was pretty close for me. At first, when I was asked the question, I know how dominant Amanda is, and in my mind it was like she fought 3 times, so I gave it to her. But then remembering the kind of year Estrada had, and I was like, wait a minute, she was at 105, won that fight, took the belt from the champion, minimum weight, moved up to 108, light fly, beat another champion, went back to minimum, and defended her title against an undefeated fighter. Wow. The reason why I went with Amanda is because Amanda also fought somebody who was on the pound for pound list, and that's Bermudez.
Yeah,
so that was just a bigger win, and she stopped her. You know what I mean? So that's what pushed me over. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. But all of them are winning. All of them are dominant, but we can only give it to one. So congratulations, Amanda Serrano. Now, that's the cherry on the top for the women's division. Now let's go to the men. Fighter of the Year.
The nominees for Best Male Fighter: George Kambosos Jr., Terrence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, Josh Taylor. And the winner is Canelo Alvarez.
All great fighters, and we could have even threw Lomachenko somewhere in there. but this one was probably the easiest category. There's nobody that can compare to the resume of Canelo Alvarez this particular year. And we like to squeeze in December of 2020 in this because of what he actually accomplished, beating 3 undefeated fighters in the same division and becoming undisputed the hard way. And that's Canelo Alvarez. Congratulations, champ.
No question about it. Look, we all saw Terrence Crawford beat a Sean Porter the way nobody's ever been able to beat him, which is why he was nominated. One of the best fighters in the world. We have him at number 2 on our pound for pound list, but he's also putting in the work. Look, I enjoyed that fight. We saw that live. Cambosis, biggest upset. He made that in a category early on in the show. But and Josh Taylor, look, he's undisputed, Barack. But let's be honest. I mean, hell of a fighter, but like you said, this was an easy pick. I mean, nobody in the last 11
what do you
months.
mean, like I said, this was the easy pick?
You said it in the beginning.
I thought you were talking about Josh Taylor's fight was easy.
No.
Whoa,
This was an easy pick. There's nobody, nobody on this list can compare to what Canelo has accomplished within the last 11 months. I mean, this guy literally became undisputed in one weight class within a year. And he did it in dramatic fashion every time out with all knockout victories, dominance. This guy is unquestionably the 2021 DAZN Boxing Show Award Show Fighter of the Year without question. And that's it. That's all our categories. I can't wait to see who makes these lists in 2022. I'm looking forward to a ton of good fights, upsets, knockouts, victories, champions, all that next year. But that's it for this year. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace and love. Stay safe. We're out of here.